to you.
Thanks so much, Mark. Let's get back to today's U.S. jobs report. Nearly a third of the 255,000 job gains in July came in professional services. That includes coveted high-paying technology jobs, and one city working to grow its technology sector is Indianapolis. And one of the city's biggest employers is Angie's List. You know it as the home improvement review site, but its backbone is a technology company. We're joined now by Angie's List CEO Scott Durchslag. He joins us exclusively from Indianapolis. Before we get into what your company's doing in Indianapolis, let me ask you to react to today's jobs report. I would think from the position you sit in and the role that your company plays in the U.S. economy can give you some particular insight.
Sure, David. Yeah, I mean, it was a good report. I would have been concerned if it was less than 190,000 new jobs, but 255,000 new jobs, means it's not a concern, particularly when you put it next to the report that came out last Friday, with the slow 1.2% per capita GDP growth. But that said, you go a little bit deeper. It's not enough to stand up and cheer and make me as a CEO say I'm going to go on a hiring craze. And that's because, productivity's flat. If you look at the actual disposable income that's sort of implied in these numbers, it's not really materially moving up in a way that would get you really excited about expansion. But that said, it takes away what could have been a cause for concern.
Scott, how are your listings reflecting what's going on in the jobs economy right now? What are you seeing becoming listed more?
No, good question. Angie's List, we're seeing robust demand. And you can't just read into that and say, oh, it's a great economy, because Angie's List does well in down cycles and it does well in up cycles. In down cycles, people do smaller jobs. They try and make the most out of their current home. They'll do repairs, they'll do renovations. It's different in a robust economy where the nature of the mix of services shift more towards things you do when you move into a new home. Bigger expansions, renovations, bigger jobs. When I look at the mix of the services that we're actually selling, it's moving modestly towards more of a recessionary type of a mix. But at the top level of overall demand, it doesn't change the overall volume. It just changed the types of things that people are actually doing.
Just clarify what you mean by a recessionary type of mix.
No, I just mean that it puts the homeowners much more into a mindset of really trying to kind of make the most out of their existing home, doing painting jobs, doing, sort of repair work around the house, doing things that might turn, a basement into an extra bedroom, making the most out of what they have, as opposed to, in great times, people get much more into a mode of doing room additions, getting a roof job done, that kind of thing.
Scott, Indiana became subject to a wider focus when Donald Trump picked your governor, Mike Pence, to be his running mate. A lot of people now looking at the state's economy. I mentioned the growth of the high-tech sector there in Indianapolis, growing at a pace of 18%. You look nationwide, I think it's closer to 6%. What is it about Indiana right now, about the structure of the economy, that is encouraging that kind of growth? And do you think, from your perspective as the CEO of a national company, there's something about what's been going on in Indianapolis, in Indiana, that's replicatable nationwide?
Yeah, there is, I would say. I mean, Indiana overall is a great environment for business expansion, right? You've got a set of very pro-growth tax policies, incentives. You've got a very close relationship with the universities and with trade schools. It's a cluster that really has a lot of the key elements that you need to be able to grow, particularly for a technology company. In Indianapolis in particular, you've got a real technology cluster that's grown up. Angie's List, which has been around for 20 years, ExactTarget, which is now Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and a couple of other companies have been the anchors of that ecosystem that's really blossomed now. There's hundreds of startups that have grown up around it, and we're seeing a real abundance of technology talent that's been attracted to the city or actually has been developed, from within and around the state.
And how much do you attribute that to Governor Pence and what he's done in that office?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's been a policy. It probably started with Mitch Daniels, and it was continued by Governor Pence. So, I mean, I've only been here in the state, for about 10 months or so. So it's difficult for me to comment in detail on Mike Pence. I'll just tell you, it contrasts severely with the state next door, Illinois. It's a totally different environment.
Well, I know in the past, Scott, your prescriptions for helping the jobs economy have included things like training craftspeople and so forth. Is there any way Angie's List data could help that way? I'm thinking of mentorships or, the German model where you train with somebody for a couple of years and then you're the craftsperson.
Yeah, in fact, we're doing a fair bit of that, right? We work closely with the universities. We articulate the specific skills that we're looking to hire. So HTML developers, Java developers, DevOps people, and we're hiring in those areas. We've been hiring in product and technology and in sales, and we're hiring in, for very specific skills that we communicate and are able to draw upon from those different institutions.
You're executing a restructuring plan. How's that going? There are some startups, IAC, for example, trying to get into the space. How do you plan on fending them off?
Well, we communicated a profitable growth plan to investors back in March that sort of laid out a 5-year view for how we would sort of turn around and grow the company. We're really on track. We've been executing to the letter the milestones that we committed to. We just took down our reviews paywall, and we've been seeing 700,000 new members have joined Angie's List, really just in about a month. And we've seen great consumer engagement, and now the challenge will be to drive that into new revenues, and I'm quite optimistic about the prospects for that.
How are you positioning the company, though, to put a moat around it? And at some point, would you consider selling? I know that you fended off some offers at one point.
Well, I mean, we're a public company, so we always have to be open to value creation opportunities. But we're laser focused on executing our profitable growth plan, and frankly, it couldn't be off to a stronger start.
All right. Scott Durchslag, thank you. That's Scott Durchslag, CEO of Angie's List in Indianapolis. Coming up.